That's helpful. Okay, so we'll give it a shot and see how it comes out. Writing a stupid essay. What's your name? Rosa. That's right. Cool, thanks. Okay. What's an essay? Any guesses? What's an essay?
It's like something that is really about something else.
Perfect. Yeah, good. Take it. Okay. Relatively short. You guys always freak out with page numbers. Doesn't really matter. I don't really get hung up on that. We'll talk about that more when we get into the essays and assignments and stuff. Don't worry about how long it is. Okay. It's like some of you guys love to write like really long sentences, and you're just worried about word count and page numbers, and it's really bad. And don't do that. Don't use unnecessary words. Doesn't matter. Okay. Essay means attempt to try. All right? It's a short piece written by someone attempting to explore a topic or answer a question, just like you said. Okay? Why? Why would you write an essay? Huh? Because, yeah, and?
You have to.
Because you have to. Right? Does anybody enjoy free writing? Thank you. Some people do. Okay? Most of you don't. Most of you. Look, this is higher education. You guys won't do it if you didn't have to. Right? If you just had to show up in class and get a grade, you would do that, right? You would literally not do any work and not learn anything, okay? But we'll work on that. Most of the time, you only write because you're required to do so. Students believe essays are important to demonstrate their knowledge to a teacher or professor. This is wrong. Okay. Who tries to use words to sound smarter than they are? One of you admit, yeah, a lot of you try to use. I gotta find it again. Some poor girl wrote a paper about the importance of the rodeo queen. She was trying to justify why it's an important thing and it's a big deal. And she kept using a word wrong over and over. She obviously didn't understand the meaning of the word, which made it really painful to believe that rodeo queen should be important. I can't remember the word, but it was hilarious to me, right? And I felt bad. The class was only online, so I didn't get to know them. But I did point out that's not the meaning of the word. But it just ruined the paper, right? You're trying to make this great point, why we need rodeo queens. And then you don't understand the words that you're using repeatedly throughout the paper, okay? You're not trying to show me that you're super intelligent. You're trying to figure out a subject, all right, or answer a question. So think about it differently. Honest to goodness, I literally may do this presentation multiple times because I'm not sure it sinks in, okay? But we'll give it a shot. We'll see how you guys do. The primary reason to write an essay is so the writer, you, can formulate and organize informed, coherent, and sophisticated ideas about something important. What does that mean? Simplify that for me. What do you think that means? Yeah, you get to learn about it, right? You're literally learning about what you're writing about. You're not an expert. Now, a lot of times you guys will write something you know about, okay? You might write about raising deer, okay? You might write about swimming, whatever, okay? But you're still exploring. There's more you got to learn, right? So that's okay. Writing separates you from those who don't. You are literally smarter if you write. You are less ignorant, more productive. Somebody guides in here? Somebody guides hunts? Was the one in Canada? Somebody wrote about, I think it was this class. Anyway, they guide bird hunts in Canada. Was that you? Yeah, okay. I had a student last class. He's like, all I want to be is a deer guide. I don't need to learn how to write. Well, does he? How are you going to get business? Right? You still have to report Texas Parks and Wildlife. Okay, you still have to write, maybe not extensively, but if your website is full of errors, right, or your social media looks terrible, are people going to come to you for business? Probably not. You can write more than you can remember, by a lot. Right? You can also move your ideas around and rearrange them. Most of you don't. Most of you sit down, right before the papers due, write something out, click spell check, submit. Right? It's okay to say yes. Huh? It's terrible. Like, I can tell, right? Okay? Like, 5 of you want to be veterinarians in here. You got to get into grad school. Okay? You'll have to write an essay to get in. Maybe more than one. All right? This allows you to rearrange it. Right? If you just write it and spell check, that's a first draft. That's not a final draft. It'll reflect on your grade. Okay? Because it looks like shit. All right? It's like, you should go back and read them. So the samples I showed you last week, that's what it looks like, okay? Person who can formulate and communicate the best wins the argument. Pick a subject, okay? Pick something that you want to be an expert on. Pick something you want to learn more about, okay? And then learn about it and write about it. And then next time you have a debate with somebody, you can be like, hey, guess what? I know this thing. I have proof, right? I learned about it. It's an opportunity to get smarter, okay? If you want a job, you have to make a case for yourself. If you want a raise, you have to convince someone. How's it going? What's your name?
Sir?
Victor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Wiggett. You have to convince someone. You can't just say, I want a raise. Okay? You got to prove it. You have to convince them. Best way to do that, put it on paper. Okay? If you're trying to convince someone to accept your idea, you have to debate the merits successfully, especially if there are competing ideas. If someone disagrees with you, right, how do you prove that you're right? How do you do that?
Cite something that's, not relevant, but true.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially right now. Pick something you want to argue about. I try not to talk about COVID because everybody's freaking tired of it. Okay? But if you want to debate about that stuff, then you have to go read about it. Then you have to decide if it's true or not. What tends to happen in the media is they'll cite a study, right? And studies tend to happen at universities or labs or research or whatever, right? And they'll take one line out of a study and make that the whole argument, right? For an article. It doesn't mean that's what the study said. They're just taking one piece out. If you find something that cites a study, go find the study. Go read it yourself. There's always an abstract. An abstract is just a really brief summary of what it's about and what they found. Okay? And you're like, oh, this is helpful. We'll get into that later when you start having to find things. If you learn to write and edit, you'll be able to tell the difference between good ideas, intelligently presented, and bad ideas by stupid people. Okay? Separate the wheat from the shaft. Anybody know what that means? Nobody knows what wheat from the shaft means? Nobody grows.
Pick it apart.
Yeah, you grow wheat, right? The wheat is only at the top. The shaft is the long stem. Okay, so the productive part of the plant, right? Makes bread, turn it into kolaches.
I thought you were implying with the metaphor. So,
No, like what it actually means.
oh, yeah.
Okay, good. But it is a metaphor, okay? You can be properly influenced by profound and solid ideas instead of TikTok. If you do nothing else in my class, delete that app. Single victory, okay? I teach a class about willpower at A&M, and a student told me he deleted TikTok. And that's the single greatest thing I've ever accomplished in my teaching. Okay? Look, it's funny and all that stuff, right? But not necessarily good ideas. And have you guys seen like what high school kids are doing where they like trash bathrooms and stuff? Like there's TikToks about like how to take the mirrors off. Yeah, and they're doing it. God damn it, it's terrible. So high schools are like closing multiple bathrooms, having like one bathroom open so they don't get trashed. It's not good. Okay. Those who can think and communicate are simply more powerful than those who cannot. You are literally better if you learn to write. Just practice writing. It makes you better, makes you smarter. Okay, organize your thoughts. All right. Powerful in a good way. Being able to do a wide range of things competently and efficiently. Okay. The more you advance with well-formulated thoughts, versus the words I'm trying to say, the more important thinking and communicating can become. You can also defend yourself, friends, and family when communicating. You get to win arguments, if nothing else. Okay. It can make you better. Mm. Benefits. Your mind is organized verbally. Learning to think through writing, you will develop and organize a well-efficient mind. When you guys sit down and write, and you just data dump, okay, and you just type stuff out, right, and then you don't go back and assess it and everything, okay, it's fine. That's the first version. Sit down and write it out if you want. Put it down on the laptop, good to go. But then you got to come back. Come back and look at it again, right, and read it. Or, and this is crazy, ask a roommate to take 5 minutes of their day, right, friend, family member, whatever. Be like, will you read this? And if they read it and go, dude, this makes no sense, then you got some work to do, okay? Because you tend to write how you think, right? You're putting it down on paper, you're just getting it all out of your head. You're like, oh, it's good to go. And then you go back and you have like what we saw last class, really long, terrible run-on sentences, things that don't make sense, okay? Just literally, has anybody been to the writing center on campus? What did they do when you went there? What did they have you do?
Print out copies for them to have a copy of.
Yeah, take it with you, and then what, when you sit down with them, what do they have you do?
They make you read your own paper.
They make you read it out loud. I just saved you a trip. Why did they do that?
So you can hear how you.
Yeah, it's painful, isn't it? Okay, not that I'm saying you're a bad writer, but if you actually read it out loud, you'll be like, dude, what the hell was I trying to say? Okay, it's pretty entertaining, right? Because you get your thoughts down. So go back and reorganize it. It's easy to edit. Once you get it down, go back and edit. All right, you'll be healthier mentally and physically. All right? Lack of clarity and ignorance means unnecessary stress. You're literally healthier, okay, if you can organize it. Not sure anyone believes me yet. We'll see at the end of the semester. Unless you want to stay dumb and unhealthy, learn to write. Okay? I'm extending your life just from this class, right? It'll be awesome. Okay, and then you can take over the world. Don't underestimate the power of words. When writing an essay, you are harnessing the full might and culture to your life. Okay? What that means is you've got all the data in the world at your fingertips. There's so much information about any subject. I had a student write about STDs and fish, right? 15, 20 sources. Okay? Yeah, it was a super entertaining paper. Actually, I learned a lot. But that's what they wanted to write about. Okay? There's a study on everything. Okay? Now, you got to decipher whether it's a good study or good information, but we'll work on that. Okay? But all the data in the world's at your fingertips, and you can put it together. Forget you're just doing something stupid and trivial. All right? Remember that you're conquering the unknown. Spell check is not editing. Okay. Even then, it doesn't catch there, and there. 2, and 2. Right? There's always words that don't get caught correctly in the spell check. Right? So literally go back and read through yourself. I know it'll take like 15 minutes out of your day, but you're college students, is what you're here for, right? Yeah? No. Don't care. Okay. All right, I think we talked about this last week. Do you ever just have large chunks of time open? No, why not? You work, right? Okay, so if paper's due Friday and it's Monday, what are you thinking?
Drink Monday through Thursday and then do it right before you have to.
Exactly, right. Is it a good way to do it?
Probably not.
Probably not. Statistically, no. Why not? Literally, if you got time, okay, between classes or whatever, lunch, sit down and write 15, 20 minutes. Pound something out. I guarantee you can crank out 2 or 3 paragraphs. Even if it's not good, you get something down, okay? Or spend a few minutes, and I'll show you guys how to do research and stuff like that easily and from good sources. But you can go find a few sources. Read a little bit, right? Read some abstracts. Oh, boom, this sounds like it relates to my paper. I'll save it for later, okay? And then come back to it. Right? But no, most of the time, if assignments due Friday, Monday, we're like, man, I got all week. Wednesday, 3 more days. Thursday, it's not due until tomorrow, okay? Friday, 10 o'clock at night. Oh, shit, guess I'll get started. But you could have got it done on Wednesday and then drank the rest of the week. Okay? Life would be way better, no stress. Okay? And you wouldn't feel guilty about it. Some of you don't anyway.
Yeah.
Word selection matters. Craft your sentence. Present a thought or part of an idea. Grammatically correct. Each sentence should be properly arranged in sequence inside the paragraph. Every sentence should make sense. Every paragraph should stay on topic. Right? We showed some last week where the paragraph is covering like 5 different topics. Don't do that. Break them out. You got good points, break them out. Make each one a paragraph. Then if you got shitty points, leave them out. Okay? You wrote down 5 good ones. You wrote down 2 bad ones. Guess what? 5's plenty. You're in good shape. Okay? We'll work with it. Each paragraph should be a single idea using multiple sentences. 10 sentences, 100 words rule. About 10 sentences. Don't have to. Don't get married to it. Some of you think that's really long. The sentences can vary in length. Right? But this is a general rule that you can use. Okay? If it's newspapers are really bad. Newspapers, or whatever, you read online. Every paragraph is like 1 sentence. Why? Why do they do that? Guesses?
Doesn't seem so long.
Huh?
So it doesn't seem so.
Yeah, they're literally, look, we won't even read 140 characters. Okay? There's a picture in social media, we're good. Okay? We read a headline, and that's it. Like, I read the headline, I know everything. No, you don't. Okay? But it's to try and keep your attention. It's literally just trying to keep us reading. Okay? So, make it interesting. All right. All the paragraphs have to be arranged in logical progression from beginning to end. We can do that pretty easy. Each paragraph is a stepping stone to your final destination. Paragraphs are being used to make the point until we get to the conclusion. Okay? A lot of times when you guys write about things you're passionate about or knowledgeable about, you're trying to prove that shit in every paragraph. Right? We hate PETA. PETA's a terrible organization. I get it. Okay, but make your points, and it'll work for you. When I get to the conclusion, I will understand that PETA is a terrible organization, or a great organization. I don't care. How does it read as a whole? Look at the essay as a whole. See how it's put together. Does it flow well? All that good stuff. Consider the audience. Why do you need to know it, and why do they need to know it? Okay? Why do you need to know, and why do they need to know? Most of you never think about who you're writing for. You should consider who the audience is. Okay? If you're reading something that's boring, it is boring. Right? If you're writing something that's boring, your writing is boring. That's not my fault, that's your fault. Okay? We'll make it better. Right? But consider the audience. If you're sitting there writing it and you're like, ugh, this sucks. Right? Rewrite it. Change it. Okay? Make it interesting. Right? Don't be boring, just said it. Okay? Strive for brevity. That means keep it concise and efficient, right? As well as beauty, poetic aspect of language. This is hard, don't force it. Some of you are pretty good with words, some of you aren't, that's okay. Right? Some of you are funny, some of you aren't. Don't try to be funny if you're not funny. Okay? Just write how you normally write, and it'll work out. Okay? But put in the time, the effort, and all that. Put in the effort, right, and time to make it better. Okay? And it'll work out for you. Yeah, if you're bored writing it, imagine me reading it. Just falling asleep. Okay? Make it interesting. It's not hard to do, especially with all the. If you go find research and data, it'll tell you all kind of crazy shit. Right? Fish are humping and they're getting STDs. That's weird. Okay? And this is like for fish to eat. Okay? So we're growing protein. Is it passed on to people? I don't know. That's interesting. Let's find out. Okay? There's usually something interesting in all of your topics. Right? Don't blame me. Right? I let you guys choose the topic as long as it's related to ag, which is super broad. Ag is everything. If that overwhelms you, some people it does, they like being told what to write. Okay? I give you the opportunity to write what you want to write about as long as it's related to ag. Okay? Which is everything from what we eat to produce, and you can even relate it to a lot of different things. Okay? Ag is super general and broad. But consider why you chose it. Why'd you want to learn about it? Wind energy in Texas. Can I make money off of it? Figure it out, right? Can I raise hogs and make money off of it? Right? A lot of you want to be veterinarians. What do you want to learn about before you get there? So pick a topic that's interesting to you, or you just want to learn more about it, right? Most of y'all are from, anybody from like West Texas? You drive out west, you seen sorghum? You guys seen sorghum? It's a weird plant. You know what it's for? It's a great protein to feed cattle. Learn about sorghum. I don't care. Okay? Maybe then I'll learn something. Finished beats perfect. Turn something in. Now, if you write a shitty essay last minute, like my man's gonna do, okay, it's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing, but it's not gonna go well grading wise, okay? So just finish, all right? Now, if you plan a little bit ahead, you write it and then see it's crappy and go back and spend an hour making it better. It will be dramatically better if you spend an hour doing that. Questions for me? A little lecture heavy, but short. What did we learn?
Being efficient, right?
Be efficient. What else?
Turn something.
Turn something. That's, well, mostly what you guys held on to. All the other things, you're like, oh, just turn in sheet of paper. Okay. What else?
Learn to
Yes,
appeal to your audience.
Huh?
Learn to appeal to your audience.
Good.
Essays aren't as scary as
No, nothing should scare you. Okay. A lot of you don't like writing. That's fine. I'm a terrible English teacher. Right? My wife's the English teacher. My grammar isn't great. Okay. She tells me I use commas wrong all the time. I still double space. It's just that's how I learned, so it's really hard not to. Don't let it scare you. We will get better, right, as the semester goes on. My goal is to make you a better writer. Okay, what else?
Don't be boring.
Don't be boring. Most important for me. We'll get into some stuff through the discussion post. We'll review on Monday your first discussion post. But everything we do is to try to help you learn how to write a little bit better. So some of it will have like some brief reading. It's not very long, but the reason I gave you that is because it's got info to help you, right? Things like we'll talk about voice and audience and all that good stuff. Okay. Questions?
a question. Like when you say don't be boring.
Yes.
A lot of times if we have to like write about something for like a classroom or work, sometimes you can't really help it if you're not like.
Yeah. Don't get hung up on that. You need to make it sound great, but don't make it longer than it needs to be. So if part of my dissertation is really dry. It's a lot of background and the history of extension, okay? If you don't care about ag or extension, it is kind of boring. But there's also really cool pieces of history in there that tell you how it came to be. So don't get hung up on the fact that I need to make it sound super fun and exciting, but don't drag it out either. You don't need to make it longer than it is or get way too into the weeds about a subject or something like that. Especially you pre-vet folks, right? You might write about something that has to do with, let's say, a drug that treats animals. Well, you guys will pull the data, which is fine, but it'll be like heavy in statistics, right? Keep it simple, right? Don't just copy and paste the quote if it doesn't make sense to you, right? If it's breaking down like this different data on the drugs and what it does to the control group, no, just summarize it. Be like, oh, 60% of the cattle got foot and mouth. You know, keep it simple. Think about it when you guys are reading. I know it never happens. But when you're reading something, if it's shitty or you get confused, you ever been studying, you're just reading it over and over and over again? Right? You're like, oh, I don't get it. It's boring. Or you need to take a break. Take a break if that happens, right? Not an hour or a week, right? But like take 5 minutes, reset yourself, and be like, okay, let's try again. Okay? Yeah, good point. What else? Other questions?
Well, are we gonna like ins and outs of how to cite things?
Yes. Yes. So what we have, do Friday is just an introduction, just a little tell me about you. Monday I'll go over a discussion post. So your first assignment is discussion post. I think it's a brief reading, and then you'll write about it. I have to look, but I'll cover that on Monday. And then the following week we'll get into your first writing assignment, and I will help you guys. everything I try to do is to help you. I used to kind of throw you guys in the deep end of the pool with classes, and the first papers were really bad because you guys are just lazy and you're testing me out, right? So I'm like, well, let's not do that. Let's try to make them a little better, okay? And then we'll get better as we go. Other questions? Sure? Okay. A little lecture heavy today, but not too long, so try to keep it brief. I'll turn this off.